We're live. Are we live?
We're
We got some
live?
thumbs ups already.
We're
We
live?
have, I don't know. Can we check? We're going to do the best we can do. Are those thumbs up from you, Sam, or are those from people watching?
There's three
Shutterbug
thumbs up.
Denise.
Yep, there we go.
So we're live. We're working. Let us know where you're watching from, that you can hear us, that you can see us, that it's not just me, and you can see Sam to my left, and what camera you use. Because we're doing this without Phil, and I don't know how it's going to go. Sam?
Yes. Hey, Bob. We are live.
Yes, we're live. Fort Worth, Plymouth, UK. Welcome. Let's check the
San
audio.
Jose.
How do we do that?
Yeah. Let us know where, it's just me and Will today. So what should we talk about opposed to what camera you're shooting on? What's your favorite lens, or what type of
Ooh.
photography do you shoot?
What type of
Or
photography? I'm into
okay,
that.
yeah. What kind of photography are you all most into, what you're focused on? And maybe later on we can do talks more centered around that subject
Into it.
or those subjects.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're all good. Thank you, Brian. Oh, so I can see some stuff in here. Okay. So just as a heads up, Phil is not here today. We are taking over Phil. I am running our live Ecamm live here, so please bear with me. And can I just say, Sam, that Phil did not take advantage of our sound effects in Ecamm. So now that I have control over that, we're going to be using sound effects all day. What's
Great.
that?
Great.
They're happy. They're excited.
Wow.
Anyway,
This is taking on a whole new life, this live stream.
what are we gonna do
Well,
today?
thank
We're
you all
gonna
for being here.
we want to know where you all coming from. We were going to go over some of our photo challenges on Photo Friends Plus. I think we're gonna go over the leading lines challenge. We'll go through some of those, do some photo critiques. We'll have an active Q&A. I mean, what else? What else we got? Sam, what are you up to? Let's get an update while people join. Figure out what's going
Just
on.
this is outside Photo and Friends, but
Okay.
today is Will and my anniversary of 10
Aw.
years of business together. We have been running our company now for 10 years, doing photography, doing video work, doing all sorts of things. And yeah, I'm feeling a little bit old. So, anyways, that's a
10
big thing today.
years. 10
10
years
whole
we've had
years.
a video and photo production company together, just the two of us. And it has
And
supported video school too.
I want to say that I'm trying to think of when the first photo masterclass was. I want to say that Phil and I did the photo masterclass that same year. It wasn't this month, but
No, it was
it might
around the
be,
same time though.
it's around the same time. Yeah. So it also might be 10 years of Phil and I doing Udemy stuff, which, yeah, been doing this stuff for a while, I guess. Um, the challenge for textures, I believe that's an old one. I know that we're doing leading lines, and there's one for mealtime, and then I think textures is the current photo challenge. Yeah, that's the current photo challenge. So we'll be talking about that one next week, just to give everyone enough time to
Oh,
submit their
yeah.
photos.
We don't have a ton of
Yeah,
photos submitted for that one yet, but I have leading lines queued up. But
yeah,
well, congratulations, BFFBP, on making it 10 years with me.
yeah.
What else we got? We're going to what, you have any photo things going up?
Oh wait, your mic
Oh,
is notably not as clear and loud as
not
Sam's will.
as clear. Well, I mean, I can pump it up.
You sound pretty good on my end, but
I'm
is
pumping
other
it
are
up.
other people having difficulties with Will?
That's odd because I am using a probably a nicer microphone, but maybe I'm not doing it right. Who knows?
Yeah. How now, brown cow? Anyways, let's talk about photos because that's why we're all here.
Wait, I want to know what other photo project. Like, did you pick up your umbrella that you were talking about yesterday?
No.
Sam's trying to build out a portrait kit for his trip coming up, and you have a Godex. and you
I
have
got the Godox 8200 Pro. Very excited because I just did an entire lighting course with Will and was able to review all the things around that. Um, and then I went out to Will, you're sounding low. But then I went out
fine.
to buy an umbrella to be able to diffuse and soften this light for this upcoming trip. And it I try not to buy everything off of the internet. So I went to the local camera shop and their selection was really low and they didn't have what I was looking for. So I went and bought it online, um, which is unfortunate. But it is
How's
what it
that
is.
sound,
The way of the
everybody?
world.
Is that better at all?
Give us a little monologue, Will. Tell us about your current
I don't have a
ongoings of life.
monologue other than let's see, what do I got going on? I don't know how to make this louder. I'm cranked up on this as far as I can go, I think. What am I doing? I am shooting a wedding this weekend.
Hmm.
I shot a wedding a couple weekends ago. I don't know. Let's see. That doesn't seem any louder. Maybe if I just get closer, does that help? Um, yeah, I'm shooting a wedding this weekend. I'm gonna take some film cameras. Maybe no, I'm gonna take one film camera, the little one that I like to go through. Ooh, yes, it's not audible. Hmm, kind of the same. Man, what am I doing wrong?
I don't know. It's weird because you sound great on my end.
Well,
Phone. How's that? Anyone better? Not audible.
It hasn't changed for me at all.
Well, now we're gonna use.
play
Oh,
my.
that sounds better.
Okay.
That sounds louder.
Well, that's because I'm just using the normal microphone off the computer. So that's what you're getting.
Yeah, it doesn't sound quite as silky and smooth, but can
Have you
people hear
listened?
him now at least?
Yeah, hopefully. It's a delayed thing. We can live with it. Thank you, be benoist. Anyway, it's probably way loud now. I'm gonna turn that down a little bit. Yeah, so I'm shooting a wedding this weekend. I got to prep for that. It's in another state and city, and also it's for a student of ours who has hired me to shoot their wedding, which is pretty exciting.
So
Um,
exciting.
yeah, and so that'll be fun. What else I got? Much better. Great. Cool. I was recently told that this is hang loose, but like the real Hawaiians do it like this. Hey, brah. So, anyway, yeah, that's what I'm doing. But we should get into photo stuff. What am I shooting on? 24 to 70, 70 to 200, my 85, and I'm taking the Leica Q2, so I have two cameras. What else? I think that's it. I'm gonna take my flash thing. Hey, remember last week when we were or 2 weeks ago when we were shooting our new course on lighting? Are you excited about that, Sam? I know you're looking at the comments, not paying attention to me, but
No, I am. I am.
I am
I was just talking about how excited I am for it because we have now edited 80% of it probably.
probably
And
yeah.
I feel like it's a really strong course.
It's very cool.
Especially, I mean, if you want to get into using strobes and all that
It's
fun stuff.
It's definitely like studio strobe heavy, and then I have a little introduction into on-camera flash built in, and then also the external on-camera flash with a when you're shooting an event. So that'll be fun. The only thing I still have to shoot. I really wanted to add the like inverse square law with lighting, which if you don't know, if you have a flash or a strobe, the farther you get away from the subject with the light, you start to lose the power of the light. And there's like an equation for that. So you know when you start lighting. But that class will come out soon. And we will also be able to, I think, based on our last wedding course, we're going to add like a boot camp where you'll get to meet with one of us or me, probably for the next month, once a week or once every other week, and we'll go over stuff in person. You'll be able to interact before that class actually goes live, which it will eventually. But in the meantime, give us a like wherever you're watching this, because that's a thing. Got anything else to say, Sam? I'm all in on the lighting course. Yeah, man. It's all going to be external lighting. There's not really any like natural light. It'll be like strobe and it'll be flash and it'll be the
Some
quality
consistent
of light.
light stuff.
Yeah. We're going to
Constant
shoot.
light stuff.
I did a little lesson with Sam outdoors in the backyard. So that'll be fun. Yeah.
So yeah, let's dive into that photo challenge, and then we can get to some questions. I don't know if seems like a slightly smaller group this time around, but if you have any questions or want to get into any discussions around anything photography, let us know.
Yeah, send us some questions here, and let's go ahead and start the critique once I figure out how to do that. Hold on.
Stand by.
Phil does a lot.
Looks like
Ooh!
Phil... Oh,
Uh-oh.
what?
Do you see it?
I don't, but I don't think I see the live view. So I
Oh,
think
right. Well, if you open up YouTube so you can monitor it, you probably
I'm watching YouTube. It's just
Okay.
it's delayed.
it'll catch up. So, to participate in these photo challenges, you can actually go to photoandfriends.com or photographyandfriends.com and join our Plus community, which is free. You'll be able to access this really cool group. We're up to like what's it say, 537 people in the group. It's very similar to Facebook, but it's a little bit more targeted and organized, and it's off of Facebook. And then basically everyone's there to help each other out. You can join the photo challenges. We talk business stuff. It's basically like a forum specifically for our students. You can join as a business, as a supporter, where you support and give us money to run things like this. And we actually look at those, it's kind of like a Patreon, I guess, where we will be looking at those comments in that forum very quickly, and we try to answer those questions right away. I know I look at that every other morning and try and help people out. So that helps us there. But yeah, let's go into this photo challenge. Leading lines, streets of India. Can you see this, Sam?
Yep.
I mean, that's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about this shot. How do I make it bigger? What do you think? I love the building leading lines, right? What are leading lines? Leading lines are like lines that help basically lead your eye into the frame or lead them somewhere. This is a really good example of that.
Yeah. I think this is, and I think a lot of these photos do a really good job of sort of using lines throughout the frame to sort of focus your attention. I think the one thing here is that like where do the leading lines lead you ultimately? So this one is sort of towards the end of the alleyway. There's a sign back there. It sort of draws your attention, and then the flow of people as well, which is a really nice framing there.
Yeah, your eyes kind of just like whoop, like it's just like they fall in, and then like you can see the depth of it. Good job. Yeah. I really like it. Let's like it. Baby Leo. These are really interesting leading lines because it's like the lines are coming down from the blinds, it looks like, almost, or the crib, and then into like they're kind of all leading to the face and your eyes, which is much more of a subtle way of doing leading lines. Not to mention is that corduroy, the like of the baby, and it's all kind of just like going in there. It's kind of nice.
Yeah. I think a way like those, sort of the bars, a way for this to feel. I mean, there are leading lines, but if it was just a little bit farther back, to have more of those lines coming down. But how the bed, even like from the back corner, it sort of comes up, and like where the line's leading you, they're leading you to the baby's face, which is where you want the lines to lead you, which is really nice. It was a great photo. Nice natural lighting, exposed to keep the highlights in. And
Vivian says, can you see that? I don't know if this is going. Okay, thanks. I think he means I love owning your photography masterclass. It's amazing. Thank you so much. That's very nice of you. I think most of you are coming from our classes, and if you found us on one of our channels on YouTube, welcome. Go to photographyfriends.com. There's a ton of information there. You can also join our Plus community where we do these photo challenge critiques. What do you think of this one, Shimizu? I know it's taking you a while.
Is there a way for you to share your screen with me on the Ecamm side?
We've tried this.
No, but Phil normally I can see what's going on.
Oh, really?
Anyway, yeah.
Mm.
Anyways, I love this shot. I was just buying time for this to load.
Yeah.
Um, this is, I mean, this is so there is so much going on here in terms of lines, both vertically and horizontally, which I think is really cool. It's a really dynamic photo. Um, I kind of wish that person was like a half a step to their left, to fill in that spot where the line is leading exactly. But that's getting really nitpicky.
I think they're walking
Uh,
away from us.
or walking away. But just if they were over to the side a little bit, so at the end of that line, it
Yeah.
was like directly at them. But so cool with the reflection of the trees. You're doubling the amount of lines you essentially get. You're getting, really linear, vertical and straight lines, and then you have the branches which just like go in all directions. And yeah, it's a cool photo. It's a very cool photo.
I like it a
Um,
lot. I mean, I love this is
yeah,
very good. Like so many lines just like shooting
yeah,
through there.
yeah,
Super
yeah.
fun.
It's cool. It's cool.
I like the of that building on the left, the little wiggly lines that
Hmm. Oh yeah.
like contradict the. I mean, they're like trees,
Wait, is
but
this from Very?
that is from Very. That is a very, very, very photo. Actually, it's not a
Well,
very
because
photo.
those lines
Yeah,
are from that other photo that she
she's
had.
shot that before. Yeah, Very's been around in our photo and friends community for a long time and is a supporter as well. So, uh, thank you, Very. Very cool shot. And she shoots on the XT4, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. This one is having some trouble loading. This one, Sam, is after Varies. Above that, there's a stair set that goes like down, and I love how low this shot is. Like the camera perspective is almost on the ground, even, and you see
Yeah.
the like the bars from the thing coming up, and it goes down. I would actually have maybe just moved over to the right, just like a tad, just like a little bit, just to center it a little bit more. But there's so many lines going on here, so it's hard to tell what to be centered.
Yeah.
And then just
And
from
this
a
is
photo aspect, I would maybe add a little contrast. But
right. And this is such a wonderful, like, this is what a leading line is. But I think again, like what would make this photo just that step up is to have a subject of some kind down there.
yeah,
Because like the lines are leading your vision, they're pointing you to something. Um, but there's nothing there, which isn't a bad thing. Like it is like a wonderful path, and it's going out there. It looks like a beautiful place to take photos.
super cool.
And like Will said, I think centering it just slightly over to the right.
That was taken by Haroon from his place,
Cool
southernmost
photo.
part of India. Another Fuji user, XT200, actually.
Ooh,
Cool. Here's
very
one from Kenneth Hooper. Did I say that? Very cool leading lines, right? Like,
yeah.
of course, I'm going to
Oh,
like
yeah.
the black and white, but the shadows of the subject are in there, and the shadows become the subject along with the lines on the right. I mean, dead good example of leading lines into a frame, and they're not straight. It's like they're curved, so they don't
Mm-hmm.
always have to be straight, right? This is like a really good example of that.
Yeah. Well, and this is really good awareness of like architecture as well, and then playing with light. Like someone built this, fence line alongside this water line, and so there's already these, architecturally there are these lines in place. But then taking the photo at this time of day when you get those cool shadows, adds just so much to the image. Yeah,
I'm
really
also
really nice.
I'm not a huge fan of, and this is kind of off topic, but I'm not a huge fan of watermarks. But Kenneth's watermark here is very classy and very subtle. It's in the bottom right corner. Good job, man.
Yeah, that's nice.
Very cool. Is it a film shot?
On film, it says film.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. I wonder what stock that is if Kenneth is around. And this is the cool thing, right? If you're in Photo Friends Plus, we could just be like, yo, how do we reply?
Well, and Kenneth even said that he developed this in the dark room. Did
Wow.
you
Okay, a dark room. So you could
do a little dodging and burning to get that those
Kenneth,
edges in too?
what film stock was this?
Ilford 400, obviously.
Really? Does that say that somewhere? Or are you just saying that?
I'm just saying that.
All right. Well, we'll find out. All right. Let's keep going up. We got a lot to get through. Springtime stroll. Chicago, clearly.
You missed one.
What's that?
You missed one.
Did I?
From Jose. Yeah, Jose Torres. You have to click see more.
Oh, I sure did. That's a really beautiful photo. Jose,
Beautiful photo.
Northeast Georgia, R5. Oh yeah. I mean, I don't even know where to start. It's just so beautiful. I mean, the leading lines of the road, obviously, always. I think as a critique, I maybe would have brought the shadows up just like a little bit more. It's a little dark at the bottom, but that's also a choice. So what do I know?
Yeah, it's a little crunchy. It's a sky replacement, which is a thing.
Is it? It's a comp?
Yeah.
Ah, I see. I'd be curious what it looked like beforehand then. I mean, it's so really well composed shot.
Yeah. I would challenge you to go back out there during sunset or during a time when there are clouds and a bit more dynamic sky, because that's a wonderful frame, and I think to be able to capture that photo as is, without putting in a replacement would be well worth it.
Totally. Good shot though. Sorry, I almost skipped you. Here is Andrew Rodriguez's Chicago, right? Leading lines of the road, the lights, and the buildings, obviously. Very cool. Not as like aggressive of leading lines. I think if you tilted up and like cropped it like just below the base of the lamp, it would have a little bit more impact because of the negative space and the buildings and the things leading up more. You'd have more space to like zoom into.
Yeah.
But still, like, good way to recognize like foreground and background leading lines, along with the road.
Yeah, this is such a cool. I wonder. I don't know if this is sunset or sunrise, but if this was sunset, like a little bit longer time frame when the lights maybe came on and like there's still like sort of that blue hour, so you still had light, but you also had some light from the buildings and these like streetlights coming on. It almost make the streetlights look like they were buildings in the skyline, which I feel like would be a really cool look.
I see, like cropping it.
I can sort of see that happening, and I agree too. Like sort of, I would probably have less floor space and a little bit to the left, but it's a really cool image. And yeah, it just sort of sparked that idea, but very cool shot. Yeah. Thanks for submitting, Andrew.
Yeah. Marley Copeland, St. Mark's Lighthouse in Florida.
Wow.
Yeah. That's cool. I would have actually maybe. I mean, I love this leading line of the beach, kind of like leading up to the lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
I would have just made that lighthouse dead center, and like stepped to the left a little bit, just to allow that leading line to go right up to the center. I don't know. What do you think? Good horizon line though.
I mean, I really like this photo. I personally, the vignette's too strong for me. At the same time, it makes me think of like the interstellar black hole, which I like. But it's just, I don't know, it's too strong of a vignette for me. That being said, the framing and the composition I think is wonderful. I like having the water line curve like that alongside the stand line.
That is cool. Yeah.
Maybe the bush to the right could have done away with. I don't know. What a cool place to take photos though. This is such a like, being a West Coaster, this is like such a romantic East Coast looking thing to me.
Southern East Coast too. I feel like I'm really stoked that they stepped back too. Like, because if you were to, I would probably have naturally gone forward to get that bush out, but I think it adds so much seeing the land in front of you in the foreground and how it's in front of the lighthouse. I don't know. I think that's cool.
Yeah. I think it's really nice. Well exposed. I mean, again, yeah, I just think I don't know that it needs the sky to be quite so vignetted, but maybe that's just me.
Vivian says, I once participated in a photo friend challenge of yours on topic freeze frame via YouTube, but there was no reviews. Well, we try to get to everybody. We can't always get to everyone, but we definitely like to try. So if we missed your photo, we're so sorry. But we promise we try to get through as many as we can. But thanks for participating. Let's see. David Oliveira. This one's a little, I don't know if there's compression or zoomed in, probably because of the internet, and then we're live streaming. But obviously, like the idea is there, right? The leading lines of the fence into a bird and then the tree. Very cool. I'd probably bring it up in, it's hard to tell because of the compression, but bring up the exposure just a tad.
I think it's, I think getting the bird in the blue sky really helps it. It is like, because the barbed wire is kind of behind the trees, it does kind of hide them a little bit. And that's just the positioning. I think maybe if it had been a bit lower, those would stand out more, but it's it's nice having the bird sort of like up above.
I like that.
It's always something I try and talk about, like make sure wherever your subject is, pay attention to what's in the background. Because if that bird had been just a little bit lower in that frame, or if the photographer had been a little bit higher,
you wouldn't have seen it.
Would have been, it would have been completely lost. In
good,
the trees.
Good shot.
Yeah.
How many more we got? All right, we're gonna keep going. Deanne, again, it's like leading lines with the waters and the roads, and it's like natural leading lines. The only thing I have an issue with this one is I think I would have like straightened it out just if you like a degree or two counterclockwise, right? And I think it would have been even more impactful. This probably looked, I mean, I always say this, but it probably would have looked really cool black and white too, with higher contrast.
Yeah. Wait, did you say road? It's a river.
I'm saying that like we've this theme of like rivers and roads that like have this leading line in it. Yeah, it's definitely not a road.
Yeah,
is that Bodhi?
Yeah, it's Bodhi. Yeah, I think this is a good example of where less would be more. I think really having because I love the positioning of the river in the bottom right corner, but then in the upper left, I feel like it doesn't go all the way through. So I feel like in some way having one of the lines connect to the top of the frame as well would have helped. But man, what a beautiful place to be taking photos. And taking photos in snow is not easy. That's a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah, although it looks like there's no real hard light, so that's helpful. Or it was like after sunset or something.
Yeah.
But you know,
man, my dog would be in that river so quickly.
What, really? Yeah.
Even though it's frozen, like he would not just be standing there.
This one's from Savita. This is very cool, and I love the subtlety in this. That the leading lines are like baked into like the cut grass. Not to mention like how wide of a lens this is. I think if they were around, I would love to know. I wonder if it said here. I'm going to exit out of it real quick. Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. Of course, this is a mobile, a mobile phone. Look at that. Just goes to show you with what you can do with mobile photography if you just have the right compositions and colors. Look at that. Very cool.
Yeah, I love the textures of the grass. Doing the radical colors in the sky is fun, and then the subtlety of the subjects and the kite in the sky, like that's a really nice use of wide angle lens, just super dynamic, it feels very like sort of two worlds coming and colliding at that horizon line.
The color contrast too, right? Like you said, like the green and the purple, like, oh man, that's cool.
Yeah.
Can't do that with a black and white photo. Very, very cool. Here we go. Here's a portrait from Nancy. This is a really cool example of like of leading lines in portraits. You kind of like using the wall as like a way to like direct your eyes to the human, who's also like a relatively skinny, tall human. We really just go right into their face. It's like, hey, what's up? So nice. Look at that detail too.
And I am so used, and I think Nancy shares amazing work, but it's typically of a certain style. This is such a different looking Nancy photo for me to see.
Yeah.
And it's like it's wonderful. I mean, it's a beautiful, like crispy, cool leading lines. Yeah, it's a really nice photo. So thanks for sharing something a little bit different this time, Nancy. It's cool. Cool to see.
Cool. How many more we got? Oh, we got to keep going. Okay, we'll get a little faster here because we only got 30 minutes left. I want to have some time for Q&A. Same thing
Okay.
with the leading lines, right? Like bridges and roads. I am a stickler about this. I tell people this all the time. Your photography is going to get so much better if you just level out your horizon line. And I know it's so subtle, but like even this, if you just leveled it out a couple degrees counterclockwise, it'll even have more impact, especially with these big leading lines, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really wonderful example of leading lines. And yeah, just a little bit more, look at the left side frame, look at the right side frame, balancing things out.
Balancing. There you go. That's a good way to put it.
But right time of day to be taking the photo, right spot.
Yeah. Great exposure and dramatic. Ian Blackie.
And doing a slightly longer exposure, 0.8 seconds, f13, ISO 100, at 18 millimeters. Yeah, that's a cool one.
Here's Bill Benoist. Same thing, right? Really rad, very cool leading lines going right down the road, but just like a tad counterclockwise to make that horizon straight, and it's gonna have so much more impact. For sure. Really cool though. I would put this on like my little photography company, Helio Road. This would be great for a banner.
It's a great like banner backdrop. It'd be a great photo as well.
Honestly, Bill, too, if you want to print this out, having the white border around it, I think punches it out quite a bit too. If you were like a white mat, if you were to print that and frame it, you should. And thanks for being a supporter. You can see you get the little supporter badge here. Very cool. Bob, same thing, also supporter. Very cool leading lines. For some reason, the perspective is odd to me. I feel like he needed to take one small step to the left and just flatten it out a little bit, but there are curved and straight and up and down and left and right leading lines in this everywhere. And I love it.
Yeah, that's really, and like looking in the top left and the top right, you can see how it has just a little bit of the curves from each of those. Like it is, it's very symmetrical. It's very straight on. Like it's really showcasing this space in a really beautiful way.
Good crop too.
Yeah.
Very good crop. I think that's something we don't always talk about, the aspect ratio, but like for this photo in particular, excellent crop.
Yeah, I would be curious if it looks like the daylight from the skylight coming through is pretty blue. I wonder what it'd look like if it would get too orange, but if you white balance to the skylight, it'd probably make the inside much warmer, much oranger than white, which, creative choice, but
also this is cool. San Antonio. San Antonio's got such cool stuff. You need to go check that city out more.
Southern Pacific Railroad. Yeah.
Denise. More railroad tracks. Ooh, what timing with that sun coming through that bridge.
Standing out there in the cold, just waiting for that sun to get in the right spot.
That does look cold. It does look cold. I think I'd be
very cool though. I love the reflections. I love so many leading lines going left, going right, on the right side of the tracks, on the left side of the tracks. I think I could have done with less of the sky in the upper right. I feel like maybe it could have been either zoomed in or tilted down a little bit just to like fill in that upper right corner, just because there's not a whole lot happening there. At the same time, I love on the left side, you have the little stair sign, the
sun reflection,
the sun reflection. Yeah. It's a really nice.
This little thing in the upper right corner, I don't know if that's a sensor or what, but I would think about getting rid of those.
Those are also super easy in Lightroom to get rid of.
Yeah, he's heel tool right over that. I think that's like still fair, even in a journalistic aspect. We can get rid of like dust spots and things like that.
Yeah.
Very cool photo. Craig posting this from his Instagram. It looks like, we're going straight to Instagram. that's cool. Also, leading lines, a little dark in here, but I think it's a beautiful shot of the sky, and your eyes just go whoop and then up into the sky, which I think is really cool. And the crop is interesting to allow that road. I would crop it I would make it skinnier, I think. I don't know. What do you think?
It's a nice image. I mean, the time of day, the moodiness, the like, I don't know. It could be a little bit skinnier, but I like the crop. And this is where, you get to these locations and you have like a gray blown out sky, or you have like just blue skylight, and like then you get to the road and there's like these crazy clouds and a sunbeam coming through, and yeah, it's a very, very cool time of day.
Well,
I personally, yeah, that's great.
Mealtime is our next photo challenge. It's actually been out for 10 days now, so there's only 13 comments, so I'm gonna let you guys go ahead and keep posting those, and we'll get to those next week, along with the other challenge, which is texture, like we were talking before. Also only 9 comments, but go join Photo and Friends Plus. It's free, and you can post there. And in the meantime, let's have
we got a couple questions.
Let's go. Who's first? What questions are we answering?
Vivian asked, should I go for a 50mm prime lens as a beginner? I think absolutely. I think getting a prime lens early on, and especially the 50mm, is a great place to start. Whether you're on a crop sensor or a full frame, I think it's a wonderful lens for portraiture, for walking around with. If you are on a crop sensor, I would say maybe a 35mm if the 50mm might be a little too punched in for you. But yeah, I think that's a great place to go for someone starting off. It's also so much nicer to walk around with just a prime lens than like a big zoom or something like that. I think it pushes you creatively. So
good answer. I agree.
Yeah. Good mini tripod for shooting ground level, but doesn't cost a fortune. So ground level would mean
like on the floor,
either inverting the camera under the tripod or putting it on the ground.
I've seen a lot of like tiny little small Manfrotto tripods that will sit on the ground. They're basically just it's just 3 little sticks that screw into the bottom of your camera. And those are pretty cheap on B&H and Adorama, maybe even Amazon. But if you're trying to do like what Sam said, is like a lot of tripods will, like the nicer ones will have a tripod you can flip the head and it goes straight down, and then you can basically hang your camera so you're on the level. There's those too, but I'd stick with Manfrotto if you're going to start doing that for cost purposes.
Yeah, and depending on the tripod, you could also look at Joby, Joby. They make the GorillaPod, and they also make some little mini tripods. It really depends on the camera because they can't hold necessarily a ton of weight, but those are very like, portable small tripods. The other thing that I have admittedly done is, you can just bunch up a sweatshirt or something and technically it works. Obviously, keep your hands there or be close by, but I've done a lot of like night photography where I'm just using my wallet to basically prevent the lens from looking down. I've like propped my wallet there, and have done like on the street, like on the ground of the street shots, and yeah, it's worked out great for me. So just gotta get creative sometimes.
Shutterbug Denise, right? Is that the next one?
Yep.
When focusing either auto or manual, can you go over where to aim the focus to get the best results? Well, that's a loaded question. I feel like it depends on what you're doing specifically. I'm going to say Sam's going to talk to you about manual focus, and I'm going to say autofocus. Something that I'm trying to do more often than not now is map out your camera to use back button autofocus. And that means you're actually separating the focus from your shutter for autofocus. So even if you're having the autofocus go to someone's eyeball or face recognition, it's not combined with the shutter. So your shutter's just taking the photo. You don't have to autofocus. So now you can push the back button to activate the autofocus, and where to focus, when to focus, where to aim it is just like where you want the focus. I mean, it's kind of like where you want the focus to be, especially when you're using autofocus. You can use the back button to like point something, nail it, and then let go, and your camera will hold that focus. So it depends on what you're shooting, right? If you're shooting a couple walking down the aisle coming towards you, you kind of want to be activating it all the time because they're coming towards you. If you're shooting something like still that's not moving, you want to pick it, nail it, and then take the picture. If you're doing sports, same thing. It needs to be active. If you're doing landscape, that's a little different. And I think you should actually be using manual for landscape. And it doesn't always have to be infinity, right, Sam?
Yeah.
Good talk.
It's a hard thing to say. Like it does depend on the subject. I think for humans, it's the eyes. I think like unless you're trying to do something creative, like the eye is the point that you want to focus on. If you're shooting on an 85 at f1.4, where like the nose to the eye is out of focus, like focus on the eyes if you can. When it comes to landscapes and stuff, it's not always infinity, and there's a lot of math behind it, but technically, depending on the focal length, the f-stop, the distance of your subject, that will impact how much is in focus. But if you're shooting at an f4, an f8 on a wide angle lens, or even a 50 millimeter lens, the second your subject is over 100 feet away for landscape, everything's going to be in focus anyways. So focusing actually to infinity isn't great. You actually want to focus probably to something halfway to the horizon line, and everything will be in focus, but it'll keep those things closer to you more in focus. But it depends on what you're focusing on. For manual focus, I would say it's a lot of practice, a lot of trial and error, and it's a lot of something that really helps on modern cameras is that ability to do the punched in, like set one of your buttons to be the punched in zoom to help with manual focus. And that helps a lot with really getting critical focus on whatever your subject is. But yeah, hope that helps. If you want to follow up, Denise, just let us know.
Yeah, on Phone Friends Plus too. That's a good topic. What's next?
Steve Benoist had a question about Death Valley and doing some astrophotography.
We love a good Death Valley question.
Oh man, we had so much fun in Death Valley. We got a little skunked on the stars because it ended up being a little cloudy and we were a little bit tired from all the day activities. But oh man, the twirling night is
that's Sam's expertise.
Yeah, that's
a YouTube video.
A fun thing to go out and do.
I would say before Sam gets into it, the best thing you can do for star photos is go on a new moon when there's no moon, because otherwise you will get messed up by all the light coming from the moon, because the moon is essentially just a bounce card. It's literally just sun hitting an object bouncing back at you, and it is bright. So definitely focus on that first, and then just listen to everything Sam's about to say.
So PhotoPills is a wonderful app, but one thing I would say is just before you head out there is to check, and even if it is a full moon, just also check the moonrise and moon set times, because there's a chance that the moon is going to rise at 2 a.m. and it's a full moon, but that means at midnight you'll still have a dark sky, or that at 9 p.m. the moon is going to rise. So check those times along with what phase the moon is in. If you can go in a new moon, it doesn't matter. You can go out at any time. I also think being there when it's a tiny little sliver can be really cool. I've gotten some really cool long exposures with the moon in frame because it's so small, you actually get a dynamic shot. Alongside that, figure out where the moon's going to set, and you can get some cool moon set shots, which is cool out there as well because it's so dark. From there, if you're going to do the spiral things, if you don't know, the universe or galaxy, I don't know what it is, but we're all rotating around a single spot in the north. And so you actually have to have a compass and be facing Polaris, which is the northern light. And that is where you get the circles. If you face south, if you face east, if you face west, you're not going to see that. Additionally, if you take a long exposure photo for even 30 seconds, you're not really going to be able to tell exactly where that point is. You'll see movement in the stars, but just have a compass and know which way's north. Beyond that, the best quality photo I've taken of spiral stars is from doing a time lapse, actually. So as many photos that in Lightroom I compiled into a single photo. And essentially what I did was I just took for 3 hours a photo every 30 seconds, but I was doing 20-second exposures. And my Sony has a built-in intervalometer, which essentially tells it to take a photo, and it just sits there and continually takes photos. And then I compiled all those together, and it gave the blur effect, and it showed the stars actually rotating around Polaris. I'd recommend doing a bunch of test shots if you can the day before you want to go and do the spiral thing. Just go out and take some astrophotography. Don't focus on the big spiral thing. Get your settings locked in. Try ISO 6400, ISO 3200, 1600. Try, f4. You don't want to be really shooting at f1.4 because it's really hard to get things in focus at that point. You probably want to shoot manual focus. But do all those test shots, go into Lightroom the next day, edit them, see what settings are ideal, what you got the cleanest photo of, and then the next night go and do the long time lapse. And just once you start that, don't change anything, because if you change anything during it, it's not going to work. Yeah. There's other ways to do it fake, where you can basically just select all the stars and rotate them and like paint them, like smear them. But if you want to do it really just through photography, that's how you would do it. I hope that makes sense. Feel free to message me on Photo and Friends Plus if you have follow-up questions. I'm happy to talk about this stuff.
I think you should post those photos and do like a little explanation of it too, because some of the ones that Sam has taken have been really cool. And I've been there when he does it. It's super fun to watch.
Yeah.
I just can't.
It's very technical. Very, very technical.
It's very technical.
Yeah. Chelsea asked when the lighting course is coming out, and that is an excellent question.
I wish there was a cricket noise on here.
Yeah, I think next month, realistically.
Probably next month. We're very close to finishing. It's a lot.
Yeah, it will be exclusively available through Photo and Friends Plus initially. We're going to do the workshop through it and launch it there to start, and then eventually it'll go out to Udemy and stuff. But if you're not a member of Photo and Friends Plus, check it out. Become a member. It's free. You get access to a bunch of great conversations around photography, and you'll get access to that course sooner than everyone else. So, yeah.
Look at Bob says, my stuff improved a bunch when I went to back button focus. I mean,
yeah.
I think it's kind of the way to go. And it's not a dumb question. Do you need to keep your finger on the back button when you're doing that, when clicking the shutter button, or do you push it once and then? So you push it to activate it, and it will grab focus, and then it'll stay wherever it is when you let go. So then you can take photos. If you hold it down, it'll just be actively searching for autofocus, and you can also take photos at the same time. So there's like kind of two different ways of operating it, however you see fit, basically. I hope that's helpful. What's the next one? Where are we at?
Do you need to keep your finger on back button when clicking on the shutter button?
That's what
that's what we just did.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, just put the button and focus on the subject. Okay, afternoon shoots, I don't know. Could you explain how to compile multiple photos at once? Do you mean in one photo?
Like, what's that called? Like double exposure, triple exposure, where you're like putting photos on top of each other.
Well, that's the thing is, I think if they're just a little bit more specific, because multiple photos could mean like a panoramic, it could mean bracketing focus, it can mean bracketing auto exposure. Either way, there are ways to do that in Photoshop and Lightroom, like combining photos. It just depends on exactly what you're doing. So let us know in another question, and maybe we can answer it more specifically.
There's a lot of like Instagram videos of people with Fujis that do the multiple exposures in camera,
That too.
which is really cool because you can like take one photo and it has that photo, and then you go and take another photo and you can see it in real time.
Double exposure.
But yeah,
Does
let
the
us
lens
know.
matter with night photography, Sam?
I have taken. Let me see. I have it here.
We've lost him. There he goes. He's run away. He went to get another lens.
So I think most people would say that wide angle lenses and lenses that are a bit faster, like f1 2.8 or f2, would be best for night photography. That being said, this is one of my favorite night photography shots I've ever taken. It's kind of hard to see, but it's with a 200 millimeter at f4, and it's a long exposure of a mountain with the stars moving behind it, and there's no rules with it.
There's no rules.
Yeah, like.
Wait, can you say that again? Say there's no rules.
There's no rules.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's, yeah. I guess it depends what kind of photography you want to do. If you want to capture a bunch of stars, a wide angle lens is going to be your friend because you will get more of the sky with a wider angle lens. That being said, you can take amazing photos with not super wide angle lenses at night as well. So, yes.
Very cool. After doing shootings, editing, delivering photos, where do you recommend storage them? My Lightroom Classic always suggests me doing a copy or something. What do you recommend? There's just so many ways to store your photos. Yeah, we've been using a lot of these external drives if you want to be on the cheap. Sam, I'm wondering if he's about to pull out his giant RAID that has all our will call stuff on. Look at that thing.
This is 40 terabytes, and this is what I have 2 of these. That's what everything ultimately gets backed up on, and then also anything for a client, we put on the cloud as well. So we have like client folders with all the end deliverables, but multiple backups using the cloud I think is great, but I like having a physical copy as well.
Yeah, I do a lot of like with my clients, I use a client delivery system like Zenfolio, where I can just leave everything up there, whatever I deliver to them forever. But it is expensive, and I wouldn't recommend doing that unless you're professionally getting paid to do that. Otherwise, yeah, Google Drive's good. I mean, you just start having to pay for more money. So just the cheapest option is going to be like a bunch of multiple external drives or internal drives that you can build out of a computer or a RAID system. But that starts to get complicated.
And label everything. Like I have a pile of hard drives in here that you have to label what's on each one so you don't have to plug it in each time. And I will say the biggest thing that I've run into with clients when you're starting off is tell the client, here's a link with your photos.
They won't be there.
I'm going to be taking this link down in a month.
Yeah.
So please download them and have them accessible, because I've had clients come back to me a year later and say, hey, we're looking for those photos. And it's like, well, that's not my responsibility. I sent them to you. I told you to download them. Like I do it in a nice way, but it's like, be sure you download these photos and store them somewhere, because after a month, this link will disappear.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Chelsea asks, must-have gear in your bag for a wedding? I'd say must-have a body and a 24-70 is going to be like the ultimate thing that you're going to be needing to use. After that, I would add in a 70-200 if you can, because that's going to let you get the distance at like a ceremony if you're not allowed to be on, close to what's happening. After that, I would add an 85 or a portrait lens, ideally with maybe a macro setting so you can do those details of those ring shots and the flowers. And then after you've gotten those 3 lenses, I would start thinking about, maybe even sooner, start thinking about a second body as a backup or as a dual shooter. So when I'm shooting, I try to have my 24-70 on one side and my 70-200 on the other. Or I'll have a 24-70 and on my left, I'll have like a little point and shoot with a macro setting that I can knock things out really quickly. Other than that, everything else is probably a little extra you can get away without. Like a flash, you can probably get away without most of the time, although that would be the next thing that I would get into. I hate using flashes for weddings, but 80% of the weddings I shoot, you're going to end up having to use those. even though you could get away with high ISOs if you really had to. And then, if you wanted to get into drone stuff, you could do that. Extra lenses, that's fun. A fast 1.4 lens or faster is always good.
What about extra batteries?
Oh yeah, those things. Extra batteries, lens cleaners, a little pouch.
How many batteries do you have for your one camera?
I don't want to talk about
for one wedding. How many batteries do you go through?
I with the 2 cameras that I have, I go through about 4 to 5 batteries.
Okay. And it's not enough time to be charging them while you're taking photos.
No, and the times that I have been having to charge batteries, I'll inevitably just forget it. And then I'll have to call someone, the DJ or whoever I put it to like charge. So like having enough batteries, having enough cards, those are must-haves too. So yeah, you're right.
And those 2 lenses, those build up in cost that you can overlook pretty quickly.
Yeah. And work those into your, as you start out. So this one's a question. About the multiple things you're worried about your laptop dying. Yeah, you need a powerful laptop for that stuff. It'll start to go. We only have 4 minutes left.
And please, Lily Pink, go get a hard drive. Back up your laptop. I'm now worried for you losing everything, because if everything is only on your laptop, like absolutely, go get a hard drive. Back it all up.
Yeah, stacking images. I know people who will stack 30 images of a full moon to get better definition.
I read about that. Those people that did the like super high res. Well, there's these people that did like, is more than 30, is like some insane number of photos, and they like tracked the moon and they took all these high res images and stuff. Yeah, you can totally do that. I don't know that's fully. I mean, I guess it depends on what you're trying to do with it. I think for scientific purposes you could, but
it'd be a cool shot. I mean, it's a little advanced. I'd like to see that though.
Yeah. I think the one thing with the moon though, because it's moving, and to keep it always the same, is that you'd have to track the moon as you took those 30 photos, or I guess you could just take them with a high enough shutter speed. I don't know. That'd be. Maybe I'll have to try that.
Yeah, B. Benoist says you are raising the bar for Phil with all these. I just want to point that out. Phil's gonna watch us and he's gonna think we're clowns.
Oh yeah.
That was a little joke.
Really quick. Oh no, we have 3 minutes. Well, actually, yes. I'm still gonna ask this because we don't have any questions.
We do. There's one right here. Are there any plans for an SEO course? Not that you and I are aware of.
I would do that. Well, is that of interest to people?
There's no plans for one, to answer your question, but Sam would like to know if you'd like that.
I think I mean, I think SEO would be alongside like marketing and just like general business stuff. But
there might be one on the video school course that we don't know about. I can look. What was your question going to be?
My question is for weddings. Like in some ways, I could see starting off, get 2 bodies and have a 24-70 and a 70-200 on either side. That being said, would you get that 85mm prime over the 70-200 as an event photographer? Like, does that 85 for portraits and stuff really go above and beyond versus getting a 70-200?
No, the 70-200 is much more reliable for event type stuff. If you get kicked out like to the back of the church or back of the venue, and you still need to get that punch in, and it also acts as a portrait lens in a pinch. Like if you had to do portraits on the 70-200 at like 100 or 150, you can make that work. If you get an 85, you're just stuck at 85, and if you're too far from getting it, it's fine. So 85 is beautiful and great, wonderful portrait lens if that's your style. But in the orders of priority, I would do a 70-200 if you're doing events. If you're just doing portrait photography, get the 85. Don't even think about it, or the 50. I just posted. We do have an SEO course that Phil and Video School does that is with another instructor that's not a photography instructor. So check that out. I remember Phil doing that. It's a pretty nice course. So, oops.
He beat you to it. He already posted it.
Dang.
Phil is in the house, everyone.
No, that's me.
Oh, that's you?
Yeah. Wait, I'm running Photography and Friends.
Wow.
I have access.
You have the control. All right. Look, if you are here or if you're watching this later, please like the video. Please subscribe.
This is also Will.
And yeah, just be sure to do that because it really helps us out in terms of getting more people out here watching these things.
Lock it. Thank you.
Beyond that, it's 11 o'clock. Thank you all so much. All right. I'm done.
Thanks, everybody. Talk to you soon.